Hey, beautiful people. Welcome to Truth Talks, where we attempt to bridge the gap between generations with conversations that are all over the place. I swear we're giving you enough to argue about. You will not be disappointed. Today, we're trying to break down, why Trump's trying to free Diddy, why Pastor Jamal Bryant's calling out Cardi B, and if the word demonic is just being used too freely these days. Why are we just throwing it around everywhere? A lot of people would say, Dimitri, thank you for replacing Torre because you've done such a better job. But I'll let Torre tell you himself. Let me go find him. Truth Talk starts now.
Are y'all ready to roll? Let's go.
Wow, Dimitri, that was amazing for somebody who's working in their second language. I applaud you. Good on you. Good job. Wow. Welcome, Truth Tellers. We got a lot to unpack tonight, from the Diddy trial to where you spend your money to whether or not you should be tithing. Because is everything demonic nowadays? Please welcome my co-host, Dr. Cheyenne Bryant.
Damn, I thought you was going to be on mute this whole episode or not here when I saw Dimitri do the intro. But unfortunately, Truth Tellers, we're stuck with my brother Torre again. Anywho, yeah, we got some good hot topics. And I just have to, I need some time to process the fact that I got to deal with him for a whole nother episode. I'll be back.
I am happy to see Reva Martin here. How are you, my sister?
I am fantastic, having a fantastic time hanging out with the Truth Tellers.
And I called his mom to make sure it was okay. He can stay with us for the whole hour, Dimitri Wiley.
It is a pleasure to be here. Happy Friday.
You got out of your babysitting duties, so now you're free for a little while. Thank God for that. All right, let's get into trending true story number one. Donald Trump was asked if he would consider pardoning Diddy, who faces federal racketeering and sex trafficking charges. He's still on trial right now, so it's probably a little early to even ask this question, but of course, people are asking the question. Trump did not commit to a pardon, but he said he would think about it. Take a listen.
You mentioned once in 2012 that Diddy was a good friend of yours back then. He has since found himself in some very serious legal trouble.
Yeah, that's true.
Would you ever consider pardoning him?
I know people are thinking about it. I know they're thinking about it. I think some people have been very close to asking. First of all, I'd look at what's happening. And I haven't been watching it too closely, although it's certainly getting a lot of coverage. So, I don't know. I would certainly look at the facts.
Reva, the trial's still ongoing, so it's a little early to be talking about a pardon. He might be acquitted. Nobody knows. So there's a lot of ifs here. But if someone is convicted in a case like this and then pardoned, what does that say about the justice system when the president is able to pardon people, not because he's articulating something happened wrong here, but because I like that person or they gave me $1 million?
Well, we know, Torre, when the pardon comes from this president, it says a lot about the corruption in our government. And to be clear, you can be pardoned midway through a trial. You can be pardoned after you've been indicted. So the president, if he wants to, he doesn't have to wait until the jury comes back with a verdict. He could call up the Department of Justice and tell them to drop the charges against Diddy, or he could issue a presumptive pardon. So let's be clear about that. Next, this makes my stomach turn. When you think about Donald Trump and the pardons that he's done since he's been in office this term and his former term, he is number 3 on the list in terms of the number of pardons that have been issued. And as you said, not for people who served excessive time, say for low-level drug offenses or people who are caught up in our criminal justice system and are serving excessive time because they're Black or brown. But his pardons primarily are for his friends, for his political allies, allies. We saw that with the 1,500 insurrectionists that he pardoned pretty much on day one of his second term. So when you think about the people that Donald Trump pardons, even the Chrisleys, the reality show folks, they defrauded banks out of $36 million. And they are walking away after serving just a fraction of their time. Meanwhile, you and I and everyone on this show and all of our audience know that there are Black folks serving life for stealing a pack of gum. So these pardons aren't justice. In this case of the Chrisleys, is white privilege. And in the case of Diddy, it would be demoralizing to the Department of Justice and to our jury system as a whole.
Yeah, Dimitri, we've seen NBA YoungBoy and Kodak Black and Larry Hoover pardoned by this president, but maybe Diddy will happen. But it seems a bit strange to have somebody saying, I'm going to pardon people because I like them, not because there's a mistake in the system, not because something went wrong and we can deal with that, but because I like that individual. Like, that seems like a strange way to run a country.
But you got to ask yourself, is he saying I'm going to pardon them because I like them, or is he saying I'm going to pardon them because you like them? The idea that you'll like me if I set your people free. I'm giving you what you want, right? Ain't that what I'm doing? Criminals love to help criminals. After this, we're going to see if the next president pardons Donald Trump because his ass need to be locked up. That's how I see it. Jesus.
Doc?
Diddy would be pardoned because he would be exactly a political ally. Trump doesn't do anything without strategy, without an end result. He works backwards. He sees the end and he starts to work from there. And so when he says, I'm pardoning this person because I like him, it's because they can benefit me. I can benefit from them. And so we all know that, like Republicans do, which I don't blame them for this, they strategize. I do believe that he is looking at a strategy. And even if Diddy isn't a political ally today in 2025, you got to remember how quick people forget things. People are still playing R. Kelly's music all on the radio in their home. And so, in 2028, I think Diddy could be a really big ally for Trump if he gets out 2025 and has 2-3 years to redeem himself. Absolutely. And I also want to add this. I think Diddy's his team would be absolutely stupid to not at least ask to see if why would they not inquire for Trump to do it? If I was representing him, that'd be the first thing I try to do is, can you pardon him? And try to make some type of negotiation with Trump.
There's absolutely a chance that Trump might pardon him. I don't think he really cares or even understands the law. I don't think he cares or understands the danger that this person could represent to the community. We were already talking allegedly about arson, extortion, bribery, throwing somebody off of a balcony, beating up a woman multiple times, which we've actually seen. So this is a violent person. And Cassie and Jane and many other people would be in significant danger, would feel themselves in significant danger if this person were pardoned. I would feel myself in danger if this person were pardoned. But I don't think Trump would even think about any of that, Ariva. I think he governs and handles this sort of thing entirely selfishly. How does this relate to me? What does this have to do for me? Without thinking about how it relates to other people.
We should all be in fear, Teray, because of the insurrectionists, the Proud Boys, white supremacists who were pardoned by Donald Trump, including individuals that were responsible for the deaths of police officers. Trump, as you just said, doesn't care. And let's talk about money. A couple of the people that were pardoned recently by Donald Trump, we know that one of the individuals, again, was charged and convicted of defrauding the government out of payroll taxes for employees. His mother donated $1 million to the Trump campaign. The daughter of the Chrisleys was very big in the RNC during the campaign for Donald Trump, spoke at the Republican National Convention, led a group of women for Trump. So we cannot forget the monetary role that is so prevalent in a lot of these pardons, because Trump directly, the party, the RNC, the Republican Party, benefiting monetarily. So it is pay for play. The White House is open. And if you got $1 million to donate to the campaign and you want someone out of jail, you better donate that $1 million and put your application in, because unlike times we've ever seen before, this government is selling those pardons.
That's 100% right. If you have $1 million, you can get anybody out of prison. And that's a kind of a disgusting way to run a government and a Bureau of Prisons that has nothing to do with fairness or equality, that has to do with the privatization of the White House, the selling of the White House, the Trump way of monetizing the presidency, which is completely not democratic and what we're supposed to do. And of course, Black people are going to lose out in that exchange all the time. Let's move on to our second story in our trending topics. Target has lost billions because of the Black community boycotting Target. Congratulations and good on y'all. Y'all have made a difference. But in the words of the great Kendrick Lamar, it's not enough. Pastor Jamal Bryant took to Instagram to call out Cardi B after she posted a picture of herself shopping at Target with her children. He reminded Cardi she's got to support the boycott. She's part of the community. Dimitri, does the pastor have a point?
I mean, yes. I mean, I have to give it to him. I'm with him when he's right. I mean, the time is now to take a stand. And I feel like with Cardi B being as influential as she is, this is a big deal. Bigger than, she's not just your average Joe. This is not just a lady walking the street. This is someone who impacts millions by a random thing she posts. Even if you're gonna do it, why you gotta post it, Cardi? You're letting me down.
No, Doc, he's totally right that even if she snuck into Target on her own, but like taking a picture really thumbs her nose at the boycott that tons and tons of Black people are participating about, talking about online. Everybody knows about it. So why she's going against it when she's usually like down with the community, the things that we're trying to do, I don't understand what she's doing.
Yes, that's exactly what I was going to say, is that I'm surprised by Cardi, because Cardi is not only supportive in our community, but Cardi has got on social media live and on her page and posted a lot of her political views on things. And, you know, to a lot of people's surprise, at least mine, when I first heard her talk, she's pretty politically savvy. Like, she knows some of her stuff when she's speaking on behalf of certain policies and even on certain things that Trump was doing during the election. And so to see her do that is surprising. But I want to push back on what Dimitri said, because I feel like if she's going to do it, she shouldn't just do it and hide her hands. If she's going to support, how about don't do it at all? And just understand that, you know, we do have to have celebrities and people who have big platforms use their platform for more than just monetizing for their own personal gain. There is a community out there that depends on you, that's watching you. And of course, if you decide not to, you're not just, we don't want to demonize you, but we would like for you to be a part of our, community call of actions by using your platforms and your voice to help us push these calls, because we do need you. But I want to end on this. We know that using entertainment, as Kamala did when she ran for office, obviously doesn't win votes, and it obviously doesn't win us over because we weren't able to get her in office. But what it can do is it can talk and be a voice to a culture that is listening and that is watching what these celebrities do.
But really, is that the case, Dr. B? Because we saw every celebrity possible come out for Kamala Harris during that election last year, and now they are experiencing backlash in social media. A lot of them are being blamed for why the Democrats lost the election. So on one hand, we're saying celebrities, use your platform, be a voice, speak out, get involved in politics. And then when they did it at the highest level, from Oprah to Beyonce to just about every A-lister you can name in Hollywood, the people spoke, and the people said, celebrities, go drill a basketball, go sing a song, go dance a dance.
It's a lot to suggest that Kamala's loss, which is offered by many, many, many things, misogyny, racism, the very tiny amount of time she had, the change in strategy from her early days, which is very successful, to what she started doing after 2 months in. There's a lot of reasons why this didn't work out. It's very hard to blame this on, well, you had celebrities that didn't work out, so celebrities don't. That's difficult.
Yeah, got it. So again, my theory is the way that she went about it, which is using entertainment, using sexy red, using rap, using a narrative that is negative in our community. from my experience as a taxpayer, a voter, and a Democrat, it did not work. So what I said was using celebrities to push policies and campaigns as far as elections has shown, from my opinion, it does not work. Having them on their platforms as influencers, giving out a narrative or a call of action, it tends to work in our community when we're saying, hey, don't go to Target. Hey, go buy this shirt. Hey, go read this book. When it goes to those call of actions, it works. Let me tell you why I believe that is exactly why I had a problem with Kamala using entertainment and using Sexy Reds and using only these folks to get our attention, because we are a community of people that are not as educated on policy and legislation as we should be. There may be the group of us on here on True Talks who are educated on that, who sit around and have these conversations with our colleagues, our friends, and our families. But majority of the culture are not talking about running for office or talking about their local officials or talking about assembly or Congress or Supreme Court. They're not having that conversation. So again, if we're going to be talking to our people about politics and legislation, we first have to educate them so they know what running for office looks like. It's not an entertainment thing. It's policies, legislation. It's who is going to help you, your community, your household collectively get to a place of a better quality of life. And that's not what I see. That's not the campaign that I seen, that I contributed to, and that I supported. I'm allowed to have my opinion.
You were critical of Kamala last season.
Yeah.
What role do you think that celebrities should be playing in boycotts? Like, do Black celebrities need to be like lockstep with everything? I mean, like, can she not have her own opinion?
So I don't think Black celebrities just have a responsibility to be a community leader. Some of them want to be actors and rappers, and that's just what they want to be. And that's okay if that's their choice. I believe that whatever platform you have, we as people have a responsibility to, even if it's our local community, whether it's our neighborhood, our household, our local organizations, to do something that benefits at least us as a culture, us as a group of people. So again, I don't want to put it on them like they have to, because people have a free will. They have the freedom to do what they choose. What I would like to say is I offer that they use their platform to align with some of our call of actions, to align with some of our issues, like Pastor Jamal Bryant, and support what we're doing, because who do you think supports them? How do you think they became platinum? How do you think they became a celebrity? How do you think that they're being paid? We are the biggest consumers. So we're keeping their album alive. We're keeping their movie alive. We're keeping their merch alive. We're keeping their product alive, because we as Black people spend the most money on their products. So I just think it would be nice for us to have their support given back.
It's not just that it'll be nice. I think we in one of the biggest attack on Blacks and brown culture in recent history, like by far. We need every single celebrity we can get to be on one band, one sound. Like I do understand what you're saying, Dr. Bryant. There is celebrities who just want to be actors and rappers and singers. But the thing about it is, you do understand you have influence. And I wasn't saying Cardi B should go, hide her hand to any degree, but do not use the influence to go against everything we're fighting for. At least don't use it to go against everything. And that's all I'm saying.
See, I don't want them to go against what we're doing, but I think the notion that we need or should have celebrities to forward political messages is completely misunderstanding the whole situation.
I agree.
I don't think it's about forwarding political messages. This is about creating reform for Black people, Black culture. Like, this whole Target thing was to push against people who don't support us. This was to me, it's less political and more cultural change for me.
I don't think the problem is whether or not celebrities who we know for singing, rapping, acting are carrying the message. We have political leaders and activists who can speak to our political needs, and we should be leaning more on them rather than caring about celebrities and what they have to say.
No,
yes.
I totally disagree with you, Teray, and I disagree with what Dr. B said. First of all, with respect to Kamala Harris, she had 107 days, people. We got to remember that. She had to capture the attention of the entire country to try to put forth a winning campaign in 107 days, never been done before. And she didn't create this society where we live in, where we revere actors and entertainers. She inherited that. We all inherited that. So we live in a culture where if you're trying to get the attention of people, particularly Black people, you can do that a lot faster and a lot more effectively when you do it through influencers, messengers, and those influencers, the bigger influencers in our community happen to be entertainers. They happen to be rap stars. They happen to be sports figures. So we use what we have. So I think we can do both things. You can have politicians pushing a message. You can have pastors like Dr. Jamal Bryant pushing a message, but absolutely, we should call on our celebrities, those that we have made big, those who we have poured our hard-earned money into to get them where they are. We have every right to ask them to show up for us and to support causes that are going to lift up everyday people, poor people, working people, mothers, and single parents. Yes, we should be calling on them. And shame on Cardi B. I love her. I love her music. I love what she usually stands for. But I think this was a big misstep on her part by posting that picture.
Sorry.
Yeah. And I just want to say, hear you, sis, but obviously push back. I think that our political leaders need to have more respect for our community. They need to understand that we are not just entertainment. We are not just athletes, that we are educated, that we are doctors, attorneys, community leaders, elected officials, commissioners, mothers, and all those things, that we can handle talking about policy. We can handle talking about legislation. We can handle having real conversations at the table. You don't have to commingle somebody who's popping their ass on the stage. You don't have to commingle somebody who's rapping to get our attention. We should be a community of people that don't always have to have entertainment in order for them to get our attention. We should be able to be at the table having conversations about what politics is about. It's about legislation, policy, and leadership, and who is going to lead us, not who is going to entertain us. What we have in office right now is a Hollywood entertainer. And this is exactly why we have a circus, because he's doing more entertaining and making money than he is serving us. This is why I push back on the fact that we have to understand as a people, there's a time to be entertained, but there's a time to have a real conversation that has to do with policy, leadership, and it does not have to do with a dropping it like it's hot, a rap video, or some big production for our people to be gathered and mobilized to a table. Totally think that.
Dr. B, now what you're doing is you're getting into the particulars of who that entertainer is. Like, you're making references to people popping their butts, twerking, or whatever. Mm-hmm. So you're going into the quality of the entertainer. Maybe you didn't like Sexy Red or someone else that was on the campaign, but the reality is you look at cable news stations, you look at the number of Black folks that are watching cable news and other stations that are related just to or dedicated just to politics. Those numbers pale in comparison to the numbers of folks who are watching entertainment-related shows. You can't deny that. So the reality is entertainment is huge in our community.
I mean, of course, entertainment is huge, but if we don't have entertainers who can effectively explain and articulate the political issues, then a whole conversation is lost. I go back to Colin Kaepernick, who had a beautiful and powerful physical protest on the sidelines. And then we go in the locker room and try to ask him to talk about these issues, and he is not the most articulate talker on these issues, and it lost some of the power of his protest, that he couldn't explain it. And that's something that Pastor Jamal Bryant or other activists are better at than some of our entertainers. Let's move on to our politicking segment, which is kind of heartbreaking, as it's been typically usually. Trump and Stephen Miller are back on the travel ban bullshit. Their recent ban has affected a large population from Haiti that will stall or cancel all kinds of life-saving procedures for at least a dozen kids or young adults. The ban goes into effect Monday, offering exceptions for those who are lawful permanent residents or traveling for the World Cup or the Olympics. But there's people who have serious medical necessities that may be coming here looking for open heart surgery or things that can save their lives or change their lives and make their lives much better. There are children diagnosed with rheumatic heart disease that need help, and the travel ban is affecting their life. There's a large population of Haitian folks in Massachusetts that this is affecting. Let's take a look at that video.
A directive to push more than 500,000 Haitians out of the United States in less than 6 months is being called unrealistic and unfair by Jeff Thielman with the International Institute of New England.
You will see communities ripped apart. You will see families ripped apart. They followed legal pathways to get here. They did everything that they were supposed to do.
The Department of Homeland Security says about 57,000 Haitians registered for temporary protected status following a devastating 7.0 magnitude earthquake in 2010. That status was renewed under the Biden administration in 2021 amid civil unrest after the assassination of Haiti's president.
This will have disastrous consequences for them. These are people that have been here, some since 2010. A lot of them have had U.S. citizen children here in the U.S.
Under the Biden administration, Haiti's temporary protected status was extended through February 3rd, 2026, but protection from deportation and work permits are now set to end on August 3rd of this year.
They knew what it was when they came here on temporary. It says right on it, temporary. So they knew it was temporary. And the temporary is over.
Louis Murray, chairman of Bostonians Against Sanctuary Cities, is applauding the Trump administration for following through on mass deportation promises and scaling back the use of temporary protected status.
The Haitians have had a chance now since the 2010 earthquake to kind of get their act together, and now we have a chance they can go back safely and rebuild their lives.
America has a long history of turning Haitians away in the most dire human circumstances, really sad stories. If people have applied legally and received refuge, what right do we have to send them back? And how often are we actually sending people back really based on political motives rather than actual legal questions?
Well, Teray, before Donald Trump became the president, if you were a legal resident of the United States, if you had migrated here and you had done everything required by you by law to become a resident, you didn't have anything to worry about. But all of that changed when we being the country, elected Donald Trump as president. And look, when people show you who they are, believe them. And he showed us when he was running, he told us what he was going to do as it relates to immigrants. And I guess what some of his voters are now saying is they didn't understand that he was going to trample on the constitutional rights of individuals here. He was going to totally disobey their due process rights and basically decide to make the lives of Black and brown immigrants in this country a living hell. He's always had a disdain for Black and brown immigrants in a way that we don't see. He has towards like white South Africans who he has embraced, who he's opened his arms to, who he has, applauded and brought them into this country. So this is the same old Trump 2.0, racist Trump 2.0. The travel ban is another just demonstration of his anti-Blackness and his disdain for people of color.
Dimitri.
He's saying, it's okay, you can go back home and die. Imagine a policy ignoring the pulse of a dying child. And I hear you, Ms. Martin, I hear you when you say, this country is currently saying, I didn't understand what he meant and what he was going to. A lot of these motherfuckers understood. A lot of these motherfuckers knew exactly what this meant, and they agree with it. And that was the problem. A lot of people knew, and now that it's in effect, they just clapping behind closed doors. A lot of motherfuckers knew, and I think that's the problem.
Doc.
Yeah, I just think it's completely inhumane. Completely inhumane. Again, I'm one who believes healthcare is a human right. Mental health is a human right. And then the dude who was in the video says they've had enough time to go back to their country and get their lives together. That is the epitome of the white privilege, the white supremacy, the systemic racist mindset, the strong disconnect from anything outside of being white, the bubble they live in. You want these people to go back to their country that is third world, underprivileged, under-resourced, and dismantled to get their life together? Come on, buddy. You understand what's going on here. You don't want anything that looks different than you, that cannot benefit you from money or power, being in what you believe is your country, not our country. That is a problem. That's a huge problem.
Let me say this, Dimitri. When I say some of these people are saying they didn't understand, what I'm speaking to is I've seen a large number of Latino voters expressing voters' remorse. We know Trump won a greater percentage of Latino votes, particularly male votes, than what anyone had anticipated. And now when you see these raids of predominantly Latino communities, I've seen folks on TV saying, I didn't know, we didn't know. What they really meant was, we thought it was going to happen to another community, not our community. They didn't care as long as it didn't hit home. But now that this is hitting home, folks they're being forced to wake up and to accept that which they have been in denial about since Trump has been elected.
And Ariva, this is True Talks. And so because you said they knew, they just believed and hoped it would happen to another community, because it's True Talks. Can you say loud and clear what community that they believed and thought and hoped it would happen to and not theirs? I just want to hear it.
They thought it would just be us, as long as it was going to be Black folks. We are always at the bottom. We are the ones that suffer the most. And then it is the Latino community. It's Black and brown folks that suffer from these racist, oppressive policies. But, a lot of folks, Dr. B, and you know this, everybody on this show knows this, a lot of folks who are Black and who are brown identify as white. They like that white proximity, and they think by being white proximate that they are going to reap the benefits of white privilege. They're going to reap the benefits, the protection that white people in this country get. And then they get this rude awakening when ICE comes knocking on the doors of their friends, their neighbors, and then they have to realize, you know what? I guess I'm just
ISIS. Because Jay-Z said it best. Ariva, he said after all that, still nigga. Go on, Torre, tag you it.
I mean, the thing is that, we have people coming here looking for medical help, and we're treating them this way. And this country has been a beacon for immigrants, political, medical, all sorts, for a very long time. And to see this country turn recently and in recent years to say, now we're going to be evil and mean to immigrants and get rid of them, that is the opposite of what America has been for a long time.
Well, Teray, if you're a white Africana, you can come here and say that you are in fear of your life. You're in fear of Black South Africans killing you on your farm, and you can find refuge. You can find support. You can find solace. You can find a home. You can find resources. It's just if you are not white. So we got to be real clear. These immigration policies are not utilized. They're not applied. They are not executed on a race neutral basis. When you look at the 13 or 12 or 13 countries that are now the subject of a travel ban, 7 or 8 of those countries are Black or brown countries. So this issue, this inhumanity, this evilness that we see around immigration, it does not impact all immigrants the same. It is our communities that are disproportionately impacted by these inhumane policies.
No, absolutely. What we see out of the relationship, the relationship to the brown folks coming from the southern border and folks wanting to come from Africa who are not the white South Africans, it's clear that there's a desire to whiten the country, get Black and brown people out of the country if possible, bring more white people into the country. Let's move on to segment 3. Real talk. Some people feel like everything is demonic right now. Like there's a growing outcry from Christians who are like, it seems like everything is demonic. And we can't even understand where we can go. I went to the Cowboy Carter concert the other day in New Jersey. It was extraordinary. And there are folks who are saying that they rebuked me, that I was wrong as a Christian for going to such a thing. Let's listen. Let's let the sister talk.
Any of you that are going to Beyonce's concert, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. Because there was and you know what rebuke is? It's a sharp disapproval of something that you're doing. It means that you're going against the standard of Christ that you're living in.
Ariva, do you understand why the sister and others, that she's not alone, would think that Beyonce or just any of the major pop cultural things that we are all about nowadays that are demonic?
Well, I understand that's what they've been taught. I understand that if you grow up in certain Black churches, you have been taught that. I had a friend who told me the very same thing, that she told her mom she was going to the Cowboy Carter concert, and her mother told her that it was demonic and that Beyonce basically was the devil. And, I feel sorry for a lot of these Christians, Teray, because they've been brainwashed. They have been misled. They have been taught the Bible by people who themselves don't even understand the Bible, who cherry pick and take very literally certain verses from the Bible to fit their own narrative, to fit their own agenda, to fit their own, ideology, without regard for the harm that it causes. So I can understand why this woman and others are scratching their heads. They're confused. They don't know what to believe because they've been fed a bunch of disinformation, and it's harmful to our community.
Dimitri, I don't want to pile on Beyonce or Cowboy Carter because the folks we're talking about are seeing demonic influence in all over the place, right? In all sorts of culture and all sorts of capitalism, what have you, all over America. So it's much more than Beyonce. But do you understand why folks are seeing demonic influence in all sorts of things?
People look for patterns, honestly. I think that's the nature of being human. You look for patterns in what you see. Oh, I seen this thing here, and I seen this hand sign here, and they use that over there as well. And we tied together. In all actuality, I think it's a discomfort with power more than anything. I think people look at the influence that others actually have, like Beyonce and her ability to put 50,000 people in a stadium at one time and be like, oh, this can't be God ordained because this is too powerful, in my opinion, whether it's a feminine nature or just a business nature. Anything to that degree is going to be labeled as the devil's work. But God gives love too. God wants you to have things as well. And, God preaches power.
Beyonce is so sweet and nice. Her whole thing is I am mother, I am protector, I am lover. I love you. I don't know. I could see it. I could see the idea with other people better, but maybe I have no understanding because I went to Emory in Atlanta and there was a very robust and beautiful Black Greek scene. We got to know most of the Divine Nine organizations on that campus and on the AUC campus as well. And I found these organizations to be really powerful, really inspiring, really interesting. And yet some folks in the community we're talking about are saying the Divine Nine also has demonic things that are holding you back from your relationship with the Lord. Let's see the sister talk about wanting to leave or feeling a need, feeling called to leave sororities so that she could be fully present for her marriage. Roll that.
One of the other things was Delta. And he specifically said, I can't put you in covenant with your husband until you break the covenant with Delta.
Yes, that's what you said.
Mm-hmm. And I didn't know what the Lord was talking about. I'm like, who in covenant with Delta? What is a covenant? What that got to do with my husband? Lord, you speaking another language to me. But even though I didn't understand what the Lord was talking about, I knew I still have to be obedient and come out. I understood that, denounce.
Yeah.
So
you didn't understand why.
I didn't understand why.
Yeah.
No, I had no idea why. Even when God was telling me to denounce, I said, but why? Delta has been nothing but good for me.
Yeah.
Reva, do you understand why it would be a contradiction for some people to be in Delta Sigma Theta or Alpha Kappa Alpha, whatever, and then also be married? I don't see why that's a problem. And I know a lot of sisters who are married and AKAs and DSTs, what have you, and brothers, APHIA, Q, all the things, Kappa. Shout out to those I didn't mention, no shade. But I don't see the challenge.
Maybe absolutely not. What is the connection between a sorority or a fraternity and your love for your husband, your partner, your spouse, or for that matter, your belief in God? Again, Teray, we cannot minimize the amount of brainwashing that goes on in churches around this country, not just Black churches, but we're talking about Black people today. So Black churches. And a lot of that, let's keep it 100, is done to manipulate people and to get them to tithe, to get them to give financial gifts, to get them to give money to the church. and to enhance the life and the lifestyle of a lot of these pastors who live better than some of the CEOs of Fortune 500 companies. So we got to talk about money in religion and the role that it plays in the same way we are quick to criticize money in politics. Money in church is a real thing. And somebody making this woman feel like she can't be a Delta and have her husband, and she herself is saying, I don't even really know what this is about. Well, I would say to this sister, please use your brain. You obviously went to college. You're obviously smart. Even if you didn't go to college, you're an intelligent woman. Use your own brain. Do your own thinking. Don't leave your brain at the door when you walk inside a church. Don't let the pastor thinking be a substitute for your own thinking. Ask questions. And if you don't understand it, it probably don't make sense.
We've seen two sisters talk about their side of this. The brothers are having some of the same thoughts around this. We got a fraternity brother destroying the things that mark him in the fraternity, which is a big deal if you're in the fraternity, and the work you have to do to get into fraternity is very hard because of Christianity. Let me see that clip.
So today I am denouncing my Greek letter academic honor societies. So, as you may know, people have been denouncing the Divine Nine organizations, and while I have my own personal opinions about them, not all negative, not all positive, however, through my personal conviction as I'm growing in my faith even the more, some things I don't want to pledge my life to for eternity, it is not to Jesus Christ. And so whether that's a Greek letter organization as a fraternity or sorority, Freemason, whatever the case may be, even academic. A lot of times we pledge and we make these oaths and allegiances to whether it's fraternity, sororities, Freemasons, Eastern Stars, even academic honor societies, or even public organizations like Jack and Jill, things of that nature, without understanding the history and the why behind it. And so this is my, how can I say it, my denouncing video. And so, yeah, here I go about to shred.
Doc, that was really hard for me to watch because I think that what he did, I was close to several brothers who pledged Q, and it takes a lot physically and mentally and emotionally to get into the organization. You don't just sign up and join. You are hazed. You have pledged. You hazed. You went through that, took a blood oath to see. And I understand Christianity is incredibly important to the brother, but damn.
Yeah, this is where religion to me can get very dangerous. They're talking about things being demonic, right? Beyonce, being a soror or a fraternity, Divine Nine, and other things that they haven't listed. But I'd like to ask these folks, have you considered the pulpit, the bishop, the pastor? Is there anything demonic about them? Is there anything that they're feeding you that maybe you shouldn't be eating? Is there anything at church that you feel is not as holy as it's claiming to be? Maybe where the demonic messaging is coming from, the root of it is where you need to check. Where at did you get this ideology that these things outside of the church that you're being fed from is demonic? Because a lot of times, and I've been in my field for 18 years, and I've had many of mega church pastors who have been my clients. Of course, I'm never going to share names, that are doing a lot of things that people would deem to be unpulpit-like, unpastor bishop-like. There's bishops who are doing things that people would deem demonic, like having a wife and a side chick in the same city in two different homes. So what I'm saying is that, or to Ariva's point, who are only at the pulpit because they know there is monetary benefit to it, who are actually spending the church money on their side chick for vacations, who are actually spending their church money with the women who they're congregating with in the congregation. So we're going to talk about what's demonic. We got to talk about the real essence of what's going on in the church where you're getting this feeding from. And I always believe that what feeds our feast is what we become. We are what we eat. And so if you're eating some of these demonic preachers, you're eating some of these scriptures that are like Ariba said, that are created and handpicked and selected just to complement a narrative that pastor, that bishop wants to set out so that, again, his quality of life can be upkept, then guess what? You are being fed demonic scripture. You are being fed a spirit that has you thinking outside of what is normal or possibly what is right. This is where people have to question, hold on, do I have a personal relationship with God that I can ask and say, hey, I have a question about scripture. I have a question about this religion. I have a question about my pastor. Go to that, build a relationship with self and your own God. Question everything around you and try to listen to self before you listen to things that are external, because you end up in situations that you may have to backpedal to that there is no backpedaling from. That's where religion scares me at, because I'm going, wait a minute, pastors and bishops, we got to check in with y'all to see what's really going on here, because y'all are feeding a congregation and feeding a culture of people who either don't believe in church no more, claiming church hurt, don't believe in religion no more, or they're coming to you and you're totally fucking them up.
Dimitri, she references how a lot of the messengers are full of shit.
Yeah, I think that's exactly my point. Just to speak on me personally, my mother grew up in a church household where there was church in the basement. Like, I don't know if you know, you can actually go back. Religion was heavy in my family, and it was forced upon her. She did not force it upon her children. The simple message my mama gave me was God is love. God is everywhere. You do not have to be confined or caged in order for God to see you and be in your heart. Live like him, right? Now, Dr. Bryant, I've been around you for a long time, and I've heard you say the word dogma a lot. Can you please inform the audience of what that may mean?
Absolutely. Dogma is living in the thoughts and opinions of other people.
Absolutely. And when I was in church, I saw church when I was homeless. I was homeless at the age of like 20, 21, maybe a little younger than that. But I was in church. This is the first thing I decided. I'm going to go to church for my own. My family never forced me to church. I went to church on my own. And it was in church that I realized deliverance becomes dogma when it silences self-discovery, spiritual discovery. If I'm looking at him and saying, I got to do what he's telling me to do because he's abiding by this book, I'm failing to discover anything on my own. And I'm going to say it one more time for, those who are listening and those who are on the same journey. Delivery becomes dogma when it silences discovery. So get out there and figure it out for yourself before you start cutting things you work for. Because just like you said, Torre, it takes a lot to get into a fraternity. And it means a ton to those people you're standing next to. And so before you burn anything, shred anything, or throw anything out the window, make sure you're doing the research for yourself on how you want to live.
The bigger notion for me is, why does Christianity have a chokehold on us as Black people? And I understand there are many Black Muslim brothers and sisters in this country, and there are some Jewish brothers and sisters that are Black in this country. But for the most part, in America, we are Christian. And at a certain point, you're like, why? And I have an idea why, but I want to hear a little bit of Dr. Umar talk about it before we get into why.
Religious institutions take three things from Black people too much and too often that we can't afford to waste. One is our time. The church takes a lot of time. I know because I was raised in it. Number two, your hope. You got people believing that through this vehicle, something is going to happen and nothing of the shows. And the third, and that is our money. Y'all taking donations and you're not doing nothing for the Black community. This money is needed for us to save ourselves. We can't afford it to throw it into religious institutions who don't do nothing but pray.
You know, Ariva, when I think about the Black community and Christianity, the conversation has to begin with slavery, right? And the way that Christianity was used to control Black people. And I think that we were acculturated to Christianity in America, and it becomes part of our relationship with America and how we survive in America, and there's times when it uplifts us as individuals, as a community. Dr. King, the civil rights movement, hugely important. But it is a holdover from slavery, is it not? This is why we are, as a community, so enraptured and held by Christianity.
No doubt about that, Teray. And not only are we in some ways held hostage to a lot of those messages that are holdover from slavery, from Reconstruction to the Jim Crow era, but look at the patriarchy in religion. So you're asking the question about Christianity and, should Black folks remain as Christians? But I'm not seeing all of these other organized religions that recognize the equality of women. Most of the organized religions, if not all, have in common the oppression of women. And so I've been asking myself as a Christian, born, raised as a Catholic, go to a Methodist church, believe in God, had some of those same messages you're talking about. And I'm asking myself, why is Jesus a man, and why are all the references in church male references? So we got to ask a man to deliver us. We got to ask a man to bless us, to give us grace. What about women? And what message is that sending to men? Men are the head of the household. So when we talk about domestic violence, a lot of it starts by the messages men and women get in church. So I've been asking myself a lot of tough questions about my belief system and what the God is that I want to serve and have relationship with. And it is not a male figure. It's not a gender. It's not him. It's not his.
No, that's very well said. Dimitri, are we as Black people too tied to Christianity? And this is not to assail any specific Black Christians who are listening or watching. Christianity may have had a massive impact in your life, and I am thrilled for you for that. But as a mass, millions of Black people in America, does it make sense for us to continue being predominantly Christian?
This hits home actually very, very well, because y'all know I love my granny to pieces. And for as long as I can remember, my granny's been attending church weekly, more than once weekly. And it's taken up so much of her life. I remember specifically having a conversation with my granny, and I told her two things. I said, Granny, I don't know if you know this, but what you've given to communion could have funded this institution. Just that. You put so much in here, you could have bought this whole church and done it 3 times over. I told my granny, I remember telling her one thing. I said, Granny, you could believe in God and still outgrow this building. I don't know if you know that. Your belief does not end the moment you walk out this door. I said, Granny, you tie your life to this. And for those who know my granny's story, I used to question it all the time, because I used to be like, if my granny's so faithful in her religion, why does she get to sit and struggle? Why is it that she's not living like the preacher living, or like the pastor living, or like, and it used to amaze me. But yes, I believe we tie ourselves too close to religion, and we fail to see what we must discover on our own in terms of spirituality.
Dee, I think some of y'all, Gen Zers and the younger millennials, are actually leaving the church. We have a video about that. I want to see the video and then get your opinion on that.
Studies show an exodus of younger generations from the church. Here's their take on why.
I'm probably the only person my age group in the church. Everybody else was like 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s.
Why do you think that is?
We're doing things the same way we've been doing them in the 40s and the 30s, and young people are just not connecting with that.
I'm not sure why he's saying that it's only young people.
Yeah, Teray, I'm not a Gen Z, but I have 3 in my house. I have 2 and 1 millennial in my household. And for them, they straight call it pimping. They say they call a lot of pastors pulpit pimps. And they believe that church has evolved to that, has devolved to that, and that they can't trust the messengers in these pulpits when they go on social media and they're in their private jets flying to their islands. And again, nobody's begrudging them for being successful, but if you're being successful on the backs of Granny, Dimitri's granny, if you're taking the Social Security dollars from fixed income folks like, Black folks who we know in our community who are giving their last dime, and you're flaunting that, you're flying around in a private jet, you're living in mansions, there's something wrong with that. And we need to call that out, whether you call them pulpit pimps or just straight up fraudsters.
Dimitri, are we seeing a a lot of people around your age, a little older, a little younger, like leaving church, not thinking about religion, like moving away from that entirely?
Absolutely. It's you either moving away from it entirely, or you study it on your own accord and interpreting your own meaning. I know a lot of people who have Bible study online, like off church, outside of this building, I remember going to church, man. One of the biggest things that like noted me was like, it was like communion going around, pass the plate. They start using Cash App, Apple Pay, Zelle, Venmo, all these things. And these pastors these days got more Instagram followers than me. Like it's not making sense. And I think that alone, the influence, we've looked at it and said, how do I know I can trust you? I understand you telling me buy into the book, but how do I know I can trust you? And with social media making it so prevalent into other people's lives, we get to see what your pastor do. You get to hear the whispers in the church and XYZ. So absolutely, we've listened, and we weren't forced by our parents how our parents was forced by theirs.
Doc, I wonder what you think of that he's saying that Gen Zers are leaving the church. I wonder if you're seeing that, but he's talking about they still want spiritual education. They still want an inner life. They are searching for that outside of the institution. They are finding it on their own. So they're not abandoning their spiritual life. They're abandoning the church. Are you seeing that from younger folks?
Yeah, they want traditional leadership. They want leaders who aren't out painting the town red like them. They want leaders who aren't out till 2, 3, 4, 5 a.m., doing the same type of sinning that they're doing. Now, is it realistic? Maybe not, because everyone's human. But I believe, and I know growing up Catholic and then transitioning to non-denomination Christian, that there was a time where the pulpit at least had a certain level of honoring and admiration that you could have for the person who was feeding you word and a person who was leading you that looked like they had a stable family, where it wasn't the church's business, again, that the pastor is sleeping with the side chick or the pastor's on wife number 4. And then, he's doing these things that are human, but also are not very pulpitish. And now that may sound judgmental. And I'm just telling you what I'm hearing, because I have Bible study at my home every 2 weeks on Monday. My bishop comes here. And that is one of the number one things that the younger generation are saying is, Doc, we love that you have Bible study there, because one, we can be ourselves. 2, you're bringing in a bishop who isn't into the same fleshly, lustful things that we're into. So they're able to separate it and say, hey, there's some hope here. If I follow these principles, possibly I can become more Christ-like, and leadership that shows them not perfection, but what is Christ-like? What do applying the principles that you're teaching us look like? Or are you just teaching it for a transactional exchange of being paid? Churches used to be about relationships and resources. Folks can't even come to their pastors nowadays and say, hey, I need help with the bill. I need help with childcare. Where are the resources at? When you bring up slave days, churches weren't just a place for people to go to get a word. It was refuge. It was resources. It was community. That's where we familyed at. That's all we had. We don't have that today whatsoever. We just have folks that come, they're getting a word, and they have no leadership whatsoever.
I just wonder if the message, the spiritual message that's coming from Christianity is still valuable for Black people on a political level. It may work on a spiritual level in terms of guiding your life, but does it work on a political level the way it worked when it was the civil rights movement, when it was delivering us from other tribulations we've been through and traumas we've been through? But we'll see. All right. Fantastic show. Thank you guys so much for rocking with us and giving your heart and your soul in this whole episode. I really appreciate it. Areva Martin been rocking with us all week long. We really appreciate your heart and soul and your legal knowledge and your wisdom as a community member. You see, we're elders. Other people don't understand. They want to call us ancestors or ancients. We're elders. And it's different.
You are
sages. I like the word
ancestor.
Sage. You're sages.
Areva is a mature woman. You are a resurrected ancestor. Baby, you old. Don't even put her in the same. She cannot coexist with you. 2 different people. Don't pair my sis with you.
She's going to say you're an old boy, which actually people have said that before. I wouldn't give you that.
I wouldn't give you that nice of a compliment. I was, not that nice of a compliment. No.
That's our show for tonight. Like, comment, and subscribe on our YouTube channel at Truth Talks Live. Continue to watch us simulcasting right here on the Black Star Network after Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support Black media at Cash App, Truth Talks Live. Support us by advertising on the show and reach our over 10 million person viewing audience across all our social platforms. Small businesses and influencers can partner with us by visiting truthtalkslive.com and become a VIP member of the Truth Lounge and work with us by clicking any co-host room. Get in there and find out what those people are really all about. Truth Talks is here for you weeknights, 8 p.m. EST, 8 p.m. PST on the West Coast. We will be here tomorrow, and we will have Judge Lauren Lakes with us next week.
Good night, y'all.
Stop calling everything demonic. All right.